you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
all in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre, McGuire, and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. And after 22 years, Raymond
The sickest NHL podcast. Brought to you by TCS Customs and Logistics. Moving pieces, delivering peace of mind. It's gonna be sick.
And welcome to another edition of the Eye Test here in the Sick Podcast Network. He is Pierre McGuire. I am Jimmy Murphy. Pierre, how are you, my friend?
Excellent. How are you, Jimmy?
I'm great. It's Friday. Well, I'm a little stressed. Won't lie. I'm moving tomorrow again, so that's always interesting. But
Moving is not easy.
yeah, you're. If anyone can attest to that, it's you, because I don't think
I'm
you've
lucky.
been.
I have somebody that's really good at moving.
Pierre,
really good
as I was packing up and organizing things for the move tomorrow, I had a little jealousy. I was saying, I really wish I had a Melanie right now for me because she seems to be the pro.
She's so good at it, and it's so efficient, and it's so painless. I do try to help, and I think I do, but I don't really need to because she's like, okay, this is going here, and that's going there, and this is going in there.
She's in your zone. She's probably like, you stay over there. That's
Just
it.
get out of my way.
Yep, exactly. I totally understand.
I'm out of the way.
Good stuff. Well, you're lucky to have her, and we will see how it goes tomorrow for me. But let's look back on last night, Pierre. Let's start with the first game, as we agreed, coming off the air yesterday. A must-win for the Washington Capitals. Did not want to go down to Carolina, down 2-0. I felt like this was more similar to the Capitals team we saw all season, Pierre. I thought, their start and just they had some ebb and flow, but overall, I felt like this was one of their better games of the playoffs. I don't know about you. They win 3-1, but I felt like they were dictating space and tempo out there, and I really felt like it was one of the better games they played so far in the playoffs.
Well, the one thing that was positive, they scored a power play goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to plant a seed of doubt to Carolina, who's been so darn good on the penalty kill all playoff long. They were a perfect 19 for 19 until John Carlson scored a power play goal. So that was a positive thing. Tom Wilson was clearly a physical presence and made a big difference in the game. So that was positive for him. And I don't even know why more people aren't talking about this. Logan Thompson's been outstanding for them the entire
I'm glad
playoff.
you brought that up. I'm glad you.
It's like almost like, okay, it's Logan Thompson. Who is he? Like, what's he doing? Okay, they won. Let's salute the other guy. Logan Thompson's been a big part of their success.
Yeah, I don't think he gets enough love for sure.
No, he does definitely.
Even like I don't know. We won't see the results of the voting for the Vezina Trophy, and I'm not saying he should have been a finalist, but if I had a vote, he probably would have cracked my top 5. I think I would have had him in there. Maybe like
let's do the exercise that we usually do, and we're not on this. So number 1 is Hellebuck. It has to be.
Yep.
Who's 2?
See, I mean,
I'm going to say Bobrovsky.
Okay.
Just throwing it out there.
Right.
Is Bobrovsky in your top 5?
Yes. He's my top 3. I don't know if it
happens. So let's just say he's 3 then.
Yeah.
Who's 2?
My 2 would have been. You know what, though? Maybe not. Darcy Kemper. Darcy, that's who I was thinking.
Well, I have to because of their record.
Yeah.
Especially their defensive record.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. Where's Ottinger?
I think he's right in the mix there in the 5. Maybe I round it out with Ottinger and Logan Thompson in the top 5. And you know who else could get in there? And I know he's another guy that I think it's just sort of accepted. It's the team he's on, and maybe that's why he has so many wins and his stats are so good. He's still in the playoffs too. Aiden Hill could be in there. Philip Gustafson. I thought Gustafson was great.
I think Gustafson definitely should.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the main reasons they succeeded, Pierre, right?
Because all those guys were hurt. He was really important.
Right.
I like that point. That's a good one. Nothing in Nashville, nothing in Detroit.
If you're doing it just on a second half.
Nothing in Philly. I'm just going around in my head trying to – nothing in Philly. You could think about the Islanders maybe. I'm not giving Shesterkin any top 5 this year. You?
No.
Does Vasilevsky get in there?
Yeah, Vasilevsky's got to be in there. But one guy, Pierre, I think we're not mentioning that could be in there, and he's only a rookie. He'd be in the top 10 maybe. I'd have Dustin Wolf.
Wolf should be on the list.
There's a lot of good goals this year.
No, Wolf should be on the list. No question. Wolf should be on the list. Does Montembeault get on the list? We're
You know, they're
talking
getting-
10 guys, right? You're talking
Yeah.
10?
in 10, yeah, I'd put him in 10.
Not in
I'd put
5,
him-
though. Not in
Nope.
5.
Not in 5.
Does Wolf make 5 in the top 5?
Yeah.
Wolf?
Just misses. One guy, though, I think that would make it in the top 10 based just on the second half, Jordan Binnington.
Oh, yeah.
He was lights out after
Oh, yeah.
40 years.
No. Great point.
Probably in terms of, we always talk about how many players
Yep.
were affected negatively by the Four Nations. He was the most affected positively, I would say, by the Four
No,
Nations.
there are two guys. He's one for sure. Thomas Harley's the other.
Oh, yeah. Good call.
Thomas Harley, like you think about where Dallas is right now.
Mhm.
Harley, nobody even knew who Harley was unless you were his family friend or the coaching staff in Dallas. You know, nobody. I mean, I knew, you knew, but people around the league that don't watch the Dallas Stars, nobody knew who Thomas Harley was. They know who he is now.
Right.
So Harley and Binnington probably got affected in the most positive way coming out of Four Nations.
Yep.
I would
Good
say.
stuff. Good stuff. But back to the game there, Pierre. Yeah, they looked more like the Capitals team that
Yep.
kind of ran the table in the East, and I thought that was good. I like some of the adjustments they made. You know,
What was the adjustment you liked the most?
I felt like they were doing something we harped on that they didn't do before, and that was pushing the puck out faster. Like it really seemed like right from the get-go, that was sort of a focus. Sometimes I thought maybe they were doing it too much, and it kind of backfired a bit where maybe it didn't go to their guy in the neutral zone and it came back the other way. But I felt like it was a heavy emphasis there, and overall, 85 to 90% of the time, they were successful getting out of there fast.
I thought they targeted the right guys physically. I thought that was a big part because in game 1, nobody touched Slavin, nobody touched Gostisbehere, nobody touched Brent Burns, nobody touched Sebastian Aho, nobody touched Seth Jarvis, nobody touched any of their guys in game 1.
Yep.
And I thought last night Carolina found out you're going to get touched.
Yeah, we're here.
This is how we play.
They played more like they did against the Canadians.
Yeah, they did. They turned it into a Florida kind of game where, you know, we're going to street fight you. So let's see how tough you are.
All right, on to that second game, Pierre, and then we'll kind of bounce around with some other topics. But one of them does have to do with this second game. Edmonton Oilers are up 2-0, headed back to Edmonton after a 5-4 overtime win. Once again, they bent, but they didn't break.
You're
That
right.
seems to be the trend here and the trademark of this team. You wonder, though, and I'm not trying to be Sally Downer because I think they're doing a lot of great things, and I give them a ton of credit that they're up 2-0, headed back to Edmonton. But, Pierre, do you feel at times you're playing a little too much with fire, and it's going to come back?
They're the only team in the league right now that can play the way they do and win games.
And get away with it.
They can score their way out of problems. You know, they have 15 players on their roster right now that have a playoff goal. They have 15 guys on their roster that have at least one goal in the playoffs. Nobody else has that.
No.
And I'm just telling you right now, they're the only team. So the winning goal, the overtime winner, how many players could do what McDavid did to Eichel last night in the league? Maybe McKinnon. And as much as I think the world is Sid, I don't think Sid could make that play.
No.
Kopitar can't make that play.
No.
I don't think Barkov can make that play. I don't think Matthews can make that play. I think there's maybe 2 guys in the league that can do that. One plays in Colorado, one plays in Edmonton.
Yeah.
That's Jack Eichel's a good defensive player. He is. He's way undervalued defensively. A lot like Austin. Austin's undervalued defensively too in Toronto. But that's as nice a goal as you're going to see.
Well, I think you made probably the biggest key point about the Oilers right now is the distribution of scoring. They're not playing top heavy like they always used to. You know, that was kind of their Achilles heel, right? Throughout the season, you're thinking like, oh man, I mean, if what happens if one of those guys goes down? And
getting Kane back helped him, but you know what else helped him a ton? Nobody's talking about this guy, John Klingberg. Are you kidding me?
Somebody in our chat, I forget who it was yesterday, and I apologize, but somebody in the chat room did yesterday. Remember they brought him up?
Good. Yeah. No, that's good. That's a good kid. But Johnny Klingberg, so they don't have Matthias Ekholm. We know that. Cody Cece's playing in Dallas. We know that. Like they've moved some guys out. Broberg obviously left. He went to St. Louis. They lost 3 guys from their top 6D from last year when they went to the final.
Yep.
You know what? Like he's Klingberg's making a massive difference.
And that's a great story too, isn't it? I mean, there was a point where it sounded like maybe his career was done, Pierre.
You know who was way ahead of the curve on it, and it just didn't work for whatever reason. It didn't work. Was Minnesota. Minnesota really wanted him. Billy wanted him. Johnny Hines wanted him. Ray Shero wanted him. Like I remember, just having discussions, and they brought him in, and he just wasn't right physically, and he wasn't what he is now. Yeah, and it's because of the injuries. The same thing when he was in Toronto.
Yeah.
Jimmy, in the lockout, the pod in Edmonton, when I was there, Dallas got to the final, and they obviously lost to Tampa. Klingberg and Heiskanen were unbelievable in that. I'm just telling you, they were way at another level compared to most teams.
Yep.
Dallas had the most points from defense in the playoffs that year. Dallas Stars did. And the two guys that were leading the charge were those two, Klingberg and Heiskanen.
Mm-hmm. Pierre, I don't know if you can think of another player in a similar track of recovery like Klingberg has had, right? Where, like you just said, he went to another stop there, but he still wasn't physically ready. And now finally he's finding his game. But I'm just wondering, like, in a situation like that, where you're like, all right, there's certain things you have to accept, right? There's certain things I can't do anymore because of this nagging injury or this injury that set me back. Is it the assistant coach? Is it a trainer? Is it a mental coach, so to speak, that pulls him aside and says, this is how you're going to overcome it because you do have the brain, you have the puck sense to do it, and this can overcome the injury? Like, how does a player do that? How does a player get back to where he is now?
I think it comes down to how hard he's prepared to work. How much is he going to listen to the strength and conditioning coach, the trainer? Obviously, there's a masseuse involved. He had that hip problem where they had to kind of polish his hip. And so Patrick Kane had the same thing. And I'm not sure he's ever been back to where he used to be.
Right.
Kaner, I respect him a lot for trying, but I don't think he's gotten back to where he used to be. So, assistant coach would be involved. There'd be like 4 or 5 people who would be severely involved in that.
But a lot of it is him accepting.
You got to want to accept it and go through it. It's not easy to do. I've rehabbed injured players before in my life, and the ones that usually come back are the ones that are accepting.
That are open.
The ones that whine and not whine. Whine's too strong a term. The ones that are just like half-hearted about it.
Or bitter.
Like, I can't believe I got to do this again today.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that usually don't make it.
Yeah.
They're the ones that usually don't. Not all the time, but most of the time, those are the guys that usually don't make it.
Yeah. Good stuff. But yeah, great win by them. But the only problem I had with that game, Pierre, and everyone's talking about it today, is the missed call on Arvidsson there on McNabb with the can opener there. And all I'm going to say, I'm going to make this short and sweet, just like you've said it. And I'm going to reiterate what Pierre McGuire said numerous times on this podcast and many other outlets. It is time to put the names on the back of the jerseys again. And also, Pierre, now I know you're probably going to poo-poo this, and I don't think would ever happen. But I do think they should be at least one official after every playoff game available for pool questions, not a scrum, like not all the reporters around him. What would happen is you have the most senior reporter in the press box. I don't know, whoever that is at each game, right? Goes around and says, okay, what do you want to ask the official after this game? And then that pool reporter picks the most applicable questions and the best questions and is allowed to go down there quickly and ask, let's say, 3 questions. Do you think it will ever happen?
No, but I like the idea.
You do like it? Wow, I thought you think
the idea. No,
all right.
So how come players that make mistakes have to answer questions? Coaches that make mistakes have to answer questions. They get fired more times than not. And referees that make mistakes don't have to even talk to anybody, and nobody knows who they are.
Exactly.
And you know how much respect I have for the officials. Like I've got a ton of respect for them, and I've talked about them consistently. Like I told you this story a million times. This for our new people. If I had gotten one of the jobs, preferably Pittsburgh at the time, I had talked to Billy McCreary, and Billy. I wish we should get Billy on. I thought Billy was an amazing official.
I love that.
And so the Hall of Fame, they put him in. So he was a really good official. I wanted to hire Billy as a scout, not just to scout players, but I want them to scout officials. And I want them to create a book on linesmen and icings and offsides and how they drop the puck.
Brilliant.
And also on officials and their tendencies of how they call the game, and take us inside the mindset of the official. The players didn't have to know all that, but the coaches did.
The coaches do.
And so I want it. And Billy loved the idea at the time. And, I hope people get back to him and say how much I really appreciate and respect. We had these really good talks about it. So that was a vision I had for doing that. But I know if you look at it, college hockey referees have and linesmen have names in the back of their jerseys. East Coast Hockey League officials have names in the back of their jerseys. American Hockey League officials have names in the back of their jersey. How come NHL doesn't?
I don't know.
Here's a question I'd ask too. How come NHL official or coaches have to put lineup charts of the officials behind their bench, taped to the window, the glass, so that they know who the referee is? They have a picture of him and his number and his name underneath. Why do they have to do that?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Because they don't know who the guys are.
Yep. And you know what else too, Pierre? Because I do, like you said, I know a lot of NHL referees now, more former than current. And have, some of them I consider really good friends. Our friend Dave Jackson. I love Dave, and I respect and appreciate what they go through. So when I was thinking about proposing this today on the podcast, I'm trying to look at it from the ref's point of view, right? Would the ref want to do that? I think some of them would be for it, Pierre. You know why? Because it gives them the chance to say, this is why I didn't call that, or this is why I did, and maybe quell the criticism that's flying at them on social or on TV or what have you. It gives them a chance to voice their reasoning. So I think it works both ways.
I have no problem with that. I think it's really a smart idea from you. But I don't see the league allowing that. But I wish they would allow the names back on the sweaters.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, the other night, here's Exhibit A. Wes McCauley wears number 4. Wes McCauley has always worn number 4. All right. Okay. The other night in Toronto, because one of the linesmen went down, Wes McCauley wore number 85.
Oh, that's right.
He wore number 85.
Yeah.
So it took a while, but they finally figured it out on the broadcast.
Yep. Remember that.
It's not Shandor Alfonso. I think it was Shandor Alfonso who was the guy that got hurt. And he's a very good linesman, by the way. Very good. Very good. It was Wes. Wes was wearing Alfonso's number.
And if the name was there wouldn't have been an issue. There wouldn't have been an issue there. But good stuff there. Like, I don't want to go on too long about this, but
let's move on because we got too much to do.
There is. But back to that game quickly.
And I don't want any people that take the time to write in and ask questions or voice an opinion. Nobody's being left out today. So let's.
You know what? That's why we're going to get to those questions right on the dot at the bottom of the hour. Here's my final thing to say about the Edmonton game there. As I said, they are playing with fire, but the one thing I like, and I'll continue to say this until it doesn't work, Pierre, is whether it's been trailing or blowing a lead, they've come away with wins in those situations a lot in this playoffs.
So
I haven't seen it last year. Even when they went all the way to final, I didn't see that as much.
Jimmy, it's really important that you talk about this because I brought it up before. They're the only team left in the playoffs that can outscore their defensive foibles. They're the only one. And if you're going to tell me anybody in our listening or viewing audience thought that Calvin Pickard, people can't even say his name properly. His name's Calvin Pickard. It's not Calvin Pickard. It's Calvin Pickard. Okay? Pickard. All right? Explain this to me. Did you think he was going to be the starting goalie for the Edmonton Oilers in the playoffs? No. Did the Edmonton Oilers think he was going to be the starting goalie? Do you think his teammates thought he was going to be the starting goalie?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
They're the only team that can outscore their defensive foibles left in the playoffs. The only one.
Yeah. And credit to Jake Wellman. I'll still never understand that trade from the Red Wings to the Sharks.
Well, why don't you call up Steve Eiserman and ask him? Somebody tried to ask, and he said, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
You should be the intrepid reporter.
I'll never be allowed in Little Caesars again, but if I have the chance, I'll do it.
I know
I'll do
you.
it.
You don't have to take my challenge. I know you'll do it.
All right, quickly, Pierre. I want to say, just in terms of some coaching vacancies out there,
Yeah.
we were talking about it before off the air, but I had some of my Bruins friends want me to ask you
Yes, go ahead.
about these two names.
Okay.
Mitch Love.
Yep.
Talk
You
to
want
me
me to answer right away?
It's
Mitch
about him.
Love
What kind of
comes
coach
from
is he?
So Mitch Love comes from an amazing hockey family. His father was a longtime scout in the Western Hockey League with numerous teams in the Western Hockey League. Mitch was a hardcore, tough player. He was never made the NHL, but he was a hardcore, tough kid. He's coached in a lot of different places. He was a really good coach in Saskatoon with the Saskatoon Blades. He moved on, obviously became the head coach of Calgary's farm team, first in Stockton, California, and then into Calgary with the Wranglers. We've talked about, I think Randy asked me about him a long time ago.
Okay,
Our intrepid fan from Calgary.
Yep.
And I'm a big Mitch Love guy. I'm telling you, he's a really good coach. He's hardcore. He's a little bit like Spencer Carberry, the guy that he works for now.
Mhm.
And he gets hardcore hockey. Like, he understands it. So no problem with Mitch being on the list. He should be on the list. Next name.
Misha Donskov.
So he's working in Dallas. He's tight with DeBoer. I don't see that being a fit. Doesn't mean he's not a good coach, because I think he's a really good coach, especially when it comes to skill development. I just
not for their.
He's never run a bench, like not at, Jimmy, you still got to be able to run a bench, and like he hasn't done it.
Yeah,
doesn't mean he can't learn. I don't think the Bruins job's a learning job. I think the Bruins job is a job you better hit the ground running.
You're getting thrown into the fire there.
Yeah. Oh, dude, they said it. You didn't say it. I didn't say it. They said it. We see our team as what, Jimmy?
A playoff team. And the follow-up by Neely was not just a playoff team that just makes the playoffs and is happy to do that, but making a deep run.
So do you want to bring in a neophyte head coach for that position? Because you know what's going to happen? It's going to be Rick Bowness. You can go look it up because I was coaching. It'll be Rick Bowness, 1991-92 as the head coach of the Bruins. Yeah. Do you know where he was coaching in 1992-93?
Nowhere, right?
He was in Ottawa.
Oh, okay. I thought he took a year off. Yep.
Yeah, he wasn't in Boston.
No, and he was Ottawa as an assistant, right?
No, head coach.
Oh, he went to head. Okay.
But he was in Ottawa.
Yeah.
He went in Boston. But he took the team to the Eastern Conference Final.
Or the Eastern Conference Final. Swept the Canadians. Swept Montreal Canadiens.
He coached more than 55 players that 1 year in Boston because of injuries.
And they still booted him.
And they fired him.
Yeah.
So do you think they're going to – and Neely was there and Sweeney was there. They were both players.
Yeah.
So you don't think they remember that?
Yeah.
You think they're bringing in a neophyte coach?
No.
No chance.
No
chance.
For sure. And, of course, the other one, as I mentioned before, that now they're trying to meet with Tocchet. We'll see. I think he would be a good fit, but
of all the names, no disrespect to any of the other guys because they're all good. Yep. Nate Lehman would be a good guy to interview at Providence College. Greg Carvel would be a great interview from UMass Amherst. I can go around. David Carl would have been a great guy to interview at Denver. He's not going anywhere. He's staying at Denver. They gave him his own Brinks truck. It's in his backyard. You don't need to worry about it. You don't have to move like you and I have to move. I mean, he's locked and loaded in Denver. So there are plenty of good names out there.
Yep.
But I can't see those guys hiring a neophyte coach.
It's an immediate fall guy situation. You don't want for their development as a head coach. I don't think it's good for them either, Pierre. Like, right? If their first head coaching gig is Boston, that could backtrack them tremendously.
Okay, so one of the darlings, and he should be because he's a good coach, is Jay Leach. Jay Leach, a good coach.
Yep.
And he's been in their organization.
Right.
Coached in Providence. He's done his work. He's lifted up a lot. So all I'm going to say is if he gets a job and they don't make the playoffs next year, do you think he'll be back for year two?
I think he'd be 1-0.
There you go.
I don't want to see a first-time coach have that be his.
And here's it's over.
Yeah, because then you get back into that assistant.
Circle, not only that, but you're going to the back of the line.
Mm-hmm.
You see how quick we talked about it on this show all year long.
Yep.
Quenneville's at the top of the line.
Mm-hmm.
That was before Sullivan became available.
Yep.
But you see who the second coach that was hired?
Yeah.
was Quenneville.
Yep. And the only reason go ahead. I was going to say with Quenneville, I think, Pierre, the only reason he wasn't even hired before Sullivan was probably just because of all the background stuff that had.
And now, so I did a hit yesterday for CBS Sports,
which was great, by the way. Tell everybody to check it out.
Thank you, Jimmy. And I talked about the Samueli family, and they're beyond reproach, Jimmy.
Oh yeah,
this is an amazing family. I've had the honor and privilege to meet them on numerous occasions. I've seen what they've done in their community. I know what they care so much about the Anaheim Duck franchise. They would never allow anybody to come in there and tarnish what they've created. They never would do that. So they did in-depth investigation on Joel. In-depth.
Yeah, you knew their vetting process would be
yes, well said. The vetting process was substantial.
All right.
And they found a lot of stuff out. So all I'm saying is there's this pecking order. If the Bruins don't hire the right guy, whomever that guy might be, it could be one and done. And guess what happens? You're going to the back of the line.
Yep.
That's why they can't mess around. They cannot mess around.
I'm with you on that. All right, Pierre, let's look at these two games quickly, and that will segue us into my Betway picks of the night. Toronto Maple Leafs head into Florida tonight with a chance to go up 3-0.
Yep.
And I'm not there, obviously, covering them on the road or in Toronto. I'm just reading and watching from afar. But all the interviews I watch, and I watch a lot, this is the most calm, and I don't know if this is a sort of a dramatized word, stone-faced Maple Leaf team in the playoffs I've seen as a reporter in my 20 years. And I covered many playoff series with the Maple Leafs. They look like they're in a zone, Pierre. They look like they know what they need to do. They're not saying too much or too little in the media. I love the feel of this team right now. And I know a lot of people don't think they're going to go in there and go up 3-0, but if there's a team poised to do that at this point, it's them. I love the mindset of this team right now.
You play 82 games, and this is contrary to what the people that own teams or what the fans want to believe. You play 82 games to get ready to have that mental and physical description you just gave, Jimmy. Mm-hmm. So those 82 games, while some people say, oh, it's a long season, those 82 games prepare you for precisely what you just said. It makes you mentally tough if your coach handles it properly, makes you physically tough if your coach handles it properly. It teaches you how to adjust over the course of a game and a 5-game segment or a 7-game segment or a 10-game segment, and makes you resilient if it's handled properly. And the best teams that win, they go through that 82-game process.
Yeah.
The teams that don't win, a lot of times something was fouled up over the 82 games, Jimmy. Mm-hmm. So you're so right on. I've told you this, and I mean it. This is the best Leafs team on paper I've seen since 2002.
Yep.
And I've said this to you numerous times.
I know.
It's the best. And Pat Quinn was the perfect coach for that team at that time.
Yep.
You know, they lost a heartbreaking game to Carolina, a heartbreaking series to Carolina. Carolina goes to the final. They push Detroit, a really good Detroit team, but they lose. This is the best Leafs team I've seen on paper and on the ice since 2002.
Yep. I'm with you.
It's a long time ago, Jimmy.
I know. And Berube has a lot to do with it.
He does. We'll go. I want to talk about the coaches. It's not just Craig. Mike Van Ryan. That's another guy the Bruins should talk to, by the way. Mm-hmm. Mike Van Ryan. They may have already talked to him. He's won a Stanley Cup. He knows how to coach defensemen. And Boston's whomever goes there, you're going to have to fix some of the D.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have to fix some of the D. So Van Ryan's there coaching the D. Savard's there running the power play. And I know there's been some ups and downs with the power play, but he's there. He does a good job. Lane Lambert won a Stanley Cup. Barry Trotz. He's been a head coach in the NHL. Really good player. He's a really hard, tenacious player. So that staff, all those guys have won the cup.
Yep.
Every single guy there has won the cup.
I don't get why some people don't still realize how much that matters. It matters in the dressing room and it matters in the bench.
You know why? I'll tell you why the people that think it doesn't matter, they've never won.
Bingo.
They've never won the cup. And I've said this to you a million times, and I'm not trying to be rude, arrogant, condescending. everybody wants to win the Stanley Cup, but until you've won it,
Mm-hmm.
you have no idea, zero idea of what it takes to win. You can pretend and you can guess, but you have no clue.
No. And on that note, why wouldn't you want to then bring in people who do and learn from them and soak it up like as much as you can?
That was the brilliance of Craig Patrick. Brilliance of Craig Patrick. It was the brilliance of Craig. Yeah. And it set up a dynasty. The Pittsburgh Penguins since 1990 they've had some foibles here and there, but they've basically been a dynasty in every decade since 1990.
Yep. It's true. So back to what I'm saying, I won't be the least bit surprised if they're up 3-0 after this game 3 tonight. And then we go out west, Pierre, and then another series that everyone's been watching. And again, like we said last night for the Caps, I know it's hard to say in game 2 and, you know, you got to get 4 wins to advance, but this is a must win. I don't care what anyone says for the Winnipeg Jets, solely based on the fact that the team and more specifically their goalie have been a puddle on the road so far in this playoffs. That's why they got to come out of this with a win.
I couldn't agree more.
All right. Well,
I mean, I don't even have to say anything because you nailed it.
And that's perfect. We're 3 minutes over, but that was pretty good. Let's get to these sponsors, and then we'll get right to your questions. All right. TCS Customs and Logistics. Unlock the full potential of your shipping operation with TCS Customs and Logistics from around the corner to around the world. Flatbeds to air freight. Customs clearance to drawback consulting. TCS is a one-stop shop for all things transport, moving pieces and delivering a peace of mind. For a no-obligation customs or freight quote, contact sickpodcast at shiptcs.com. Again, that is sickpodcast at shiptcs.com. And let's go to our wonderful friends, Betway, where if you sign up for a new membership right now, again, this is only available to new members, you can go all the way with Betway and get up to $200 credit, even if your first bet loses. That's right. You get paid to lose. So go there right now to that QR code right in front of you, sign up there, or go to the details section in the website if you're just listening, and make your new account there and redeem the welcome offer. This offer is not available in Ontario. Terms and conditions apply. You must be 18 plus and always bet responsibly. Let's go to my sick pick of the night.
It's time for Sick Picks, brought to you by Betway.
Well, Pierre, like I said, I'm liking these Maple Leafs, and I'm going to go with them straight up on the money line. They are underdogs in Florida, plus 142. So I like that, and I've got one other bet on this game. It's a prop, and I'm going to ride him till he goes pointless, and that's Max Pacioretty, who looks to continue his point streak. He is at plus 130 value just to get 1 point. That's it. If you want to get greedy or you think he's going to really have a great game, you can get 2+ points at 650 value. That's huge value right now for the way he's been playing. And then I'm going to go to the other game, Winnipeg hosting Dallas. I feel a real goaltenders duel in this one. I'm really liking it to be a low-scoring game, so I'm going straight with the under 5.5 total goals. That is a plus 110 value. Again, under 5.5 goals, and Stars Jets game 2. Let's get to your Q&A. All right. Joe, gentlemen, do you agree that next year the second ref should be sitting behind a TV and review within 5 seconds the plays? Refs on the ice can't do a good job anymore. Worst playoff reffing ever.
Joe, I've been saying it for 10 years. Jimmy knows. Told our good friend Mitch Melnick this 10 years ago. There should be only 3 officials on the ice. 1 referee, 2 linesmen. The 4th official should be upstairs in the press box with a wall of TV monitors. He should have direct communication to both linesmen and the referee, just like they have in soccer. And they can get things done much more efficiently. The players would know they couldn't get away with murder behind the play because the eye in the sky sees everything. And I think it would, and that official upstairs could actually call penalties as well. So I've been talking about this for a long time, and I agree with you 100%.
Pierre, before we go to the next question, I just want to say that my good friend Judy has started to watch us a lot, and she's complimented your jerseys. She says she loves your shirts and loves the shirts that you wear every show. So she wanted you to know that. And
the young lady's name is?
Judy.
Judy, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All my life, and she's a big fan of your fashion. So there you go.
Thank you, Judy.
I think we have to give a little credit to Melanie too for that, or
well, no, she gets all the
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Franco, what is going on in Vancouver? Alvin's, I don't understand. Alvin spoke to
Alvin. Patrick
Alvin. Sorry. Alvin spoke to season ticket holders and something is not right there. Do you see major changes coming to that team before next season?
I'm not going to play. I can't, because a hypothetical that I'm not comfortable answering. Something's been wrong for a while there. Rick left, Tocchet. The JT Miller thing with Pedersen wasn't good. The press conference when they talked about Hughes wanting to play with his brothers, those are all kind of funky things that shouldn't be circumnavigating an elite program. And Vancouver's an elite program. That's an elite hockey city. That's an elite franchise in the league. Something's not right, but I don't know what it is, so I'm not going to go further than that because I don't know. If I knew, I would tell you. I just don't know.
I'm going to take the same route as Pierre there. Maybe let's revisit it in a month or so.
You know what I'd like to do is
I can't pinpoint it.
There are people there are people in that organization that you can talk to, but they're not going to leak. But they're going to be square with you on certain things. They're not going to leak.
Mm-hmm.
They just aren't. Like people I know there aren't leakers. So, but they'll tell you, we made a mistake here, or we made a mistake there. Right. They're not going to say, oh, by the way, at the trade deadline, we could have had 5 players, X, Y, and Z, and B and A, and our GM wouldn't do it. Like they're not going to. Those are the leakers that get you into trouble. They're not going to do that. They're not going to.
Yeah,
but there's something's going on there. I'm just telling you.
That's something key too, Pierre. That's an important team to the league too. Like I want to see that city in that team do well.
Hey, I'll tell you right now. Like everybody loves Seattle. Let's just say Seattle's a couple more losing years. We'll see how much everybody loves Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that keeps Seattle relevant, the rivalry with Vancouver.
Exactly. So, all right. Next question. Costa, do you guys think RNH would be a good fit in Montreal if they can get him? Great call, Costa. I love that idea.
We love that. We agree, but I don't know. Is he available? I don't.
He used to be. You probably could add him cheap.
I don't think he's available. But if he is, I would say that would be a good fit. So RNH. Brent Sutter is a really special guy. Somebody that I really like a lot. I have so much respect for him. Spent a lot of time with him in many different venues. He was the biggest Nugent Hopkins guy. He played for his franchise in Red Bull. The Nuge is legit. He's a legit kid, and he's a legit player. He'd be
3 more seasons left at 5.1.
Yeah, that's undervalued. Like
I think that's a good. But
you're not. I don't see why would they be in a rush to move? It's like Dylan Cousins. I still don't get that one.
Yeah.
But anyways.
All right. Next question. Kathleen, Pierre, why did you say yesterday that the Oilers may be the ones next year that won't make the playoffs out west? Their big guns don't look like they're slowing down.
I'll tell you why. Because if this playoff season doesn't work out for them, how many of those guys are going to want to be back?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have an exorbitant amount of depth on defense.
That's the big one.
The question marks in goal are very apparent.
Sooner or later, you can't outrun all that. You can't.
So it was met with no disrespect. It was meant with, if they don't get to the promised land, and that is at least to the Stanley Cup final and win, I think there's going to be some upheaval there.
All right.
So that's why. So, but I hope that answered Kathleen's question. If it didn't, I apologize. I'll try to put more into it, but I think that's why.
All right. Next question. Paul Cormier, I am nowhere close to being a Leaf fan, but they are looking like a Stanley Cup contender. Why the change from years past, in your opinions? Well, Paul, like we said, the coach, I think, is the biggest one right now, setting the culture. Go ahead, Pierre.
Yeah, the coach is part of it. Getting Tanev was part of it. Getting Oliver Ekman-Larsson was part of it. Getting Jake McCabe healthy was part of it. Adding Brandon Carlo at the trade deadline was part of it. Getting Pacioretty healthy was part of it. The depth they have on left wing with Matthew Nyes, with Pacioretty, with Bobby McMahon, and Steven Lorentz, who came over this summer, is a big part of it. So there's a lot of moving parts here. Anthony Stolarz was the biggest steal in free agency last summer. He's got another year left at $2.5 million a year. You find me another starting goalie in the league that plays at his level at $2.5 million.
And good segue. Let's go, if you guys can, right to Randy's question there, which has to do with Stolarz. About him coming back, would you go right back to him? There you go. Pierre, I asked you this yesterday off the air, remember?
Yeah, I do. And I told you.
And what did you say?
Did I even hesitate?
No, you didn't even hesitate. You didn't even hesitate.
No, you go right back to Stolars.
Yeah.
And, the only reason I say that, because I've seen that movie with Tommy Barrasso when he was hurt in 91 and in 92. Frank Pietrangelo makes maybe one of the biggest saves in Pittsburgh Penguin history in Game 7 against the New Jersey Devils against Peter Stastny. They still call it the save. It's an amazing – but when the next series started and Tommy was healthy against Washington, Tommy was back in the net. So the next year, we're playing and Tommy got hurt again. And Kenny Reagan had to go in for him.
Yeah.
And Kenny did a great job. Kenny was a really good goalie, by the way. Kenny, and an amazing gentleman. Kenny Reagan's an amazing gentleman. What a privilege it was to work with him. And as soon as Tommy was healthy, Kenny was out. That's just how it works.
Nice. All right. Next question. Blue Jackets top prospect Caden Lindstrom and Flames prospect Andrew Basha are back tonight for the WHA finals. How big is this for Medicine Hat Tigers heading into the WHL championship series?
It's huge. The biggest thing on Lindstrom is I just saw the number today, Jimmy. I think it's like 400 days between games played. 400 days. Jimmy, that's more than a year since he's playing a real game.
That's amazing.
So are those guys really good, the two of them? Yeah, they'll make a difference, but how much rust is going to be on them?
Yeah.
It's hard to jump in any playoff series. I'm watching, like I said, I'm watching East Coast League playoffs, American League playoffs, all these playoffs, and I give Jimmy updates on all of them because that's what I'm doing. I'm watching these. And I'm just telling you, I can't believe the pace in all these pro leagues right now. The pace of the games. It's unbelievable. It's never been this fast at any level ever.
Awesome. All right, next question. Charles, hi Jimmy and Pierre. Regards from Glasgow, Scotland. Hi Charles. Do you think Habs will improve next year or regress with Savard retiring, Armia and Dvorak possibly leaving? There could be growing pains replacing vets with rookies. I think they progress. I think they continue.
Charles, I think they progress. I think there's going to be so much internal competition for jobs. I do think there'll be a player at the draft, and that's why I think, Jimmy, we should really go. I think Montreal will be a player in terms of making trades, and I think there's a real element to that, and I also think they're going to try to be a player in free agency. No, I think Montreal will not regress. I think Montreal will continue to progress.
And I think they will if they lose those vets that he mentioned there. I do think, like you say, Pierre, they'll bring in another just to keep that experience going there.
I think they'll be aggressive in free agency.
Yeah.
I think they're trading for the second center. I don't think they're going to get it through free agency.
It's not on. There's nobody there really.
That's what I mean. So I think they'll have to trade for it, which is fine. That's good. But I think they'll still go out and sign guys. Like one of the more valuable. Now he's older now. And please, if you're friends with Ian Cole, don't say that I said he's old, but he's getting older, okay? I used to do his games when he played at Notre Dame, when he played in the World Junior for Team USA, but that's many moons ago. He's a valuable guy.
Yeah.
A guy like Ian Cole is somebody that could really help your team. Those are guys that you want to look at like Savard was. Those depth defensemen, they matter.
I agree. All right, next question. Juice _031017. Pierre, how hard is it to tell a player during a playoff run you're not playing tonight? That'd be very hard.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's really hard. I was the poison pill. I was
that was your job, eh?
That was my job. And I know I've told this story before. I had to do it to a player that was playing for me on the bench in Chicago Stadium, Gordy Roberts. I said, Gordy, you don't have it tonight. You're done for the night. And he was really mad at me. And then at the end of the game, it shows you the type of gentleman he really was. And what winning does, first guy to come and hug me was Gordy. And he said, you were right and I was wrong. And thank you. You saved me from myself. And I almost started crying when he said that. I was like, damn, that was pretty cool of you to do that.
That's awesome. I'm sure it doesn't always go that way.
No. So there was
you don't have to tell those stories though, but
there was one I can tell you. Oh boy, this guy, I was getting ready to buckle up because I thought we were going to have to throw down. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. I can just tell you, it wasn't good. And this was before a game, before warm up, and I was like, "Oh, this could be really bad." And the guy got really mad, and I was like, "Okay." I said, "I'm just the messenger.
Yes, don't
Right?
shoot the messenger.
Don't shoot the messenger." And he was, as I said that, he's like, I was like, "Oh shoot, he's gonna want to go down on this. We're gonna have to get after it." And I wasn't dressed for that at that point. I had a shirt and tie on. I wasn't ready to get nasty.
You didn't ever have to say that to Rick Tocchet or Kevin Stevens, did you?
Dickie, no, never once. And Kevin, oh my God, those guys, even when they were hurt,
Yeah.
like they didn't want to sit out. Rick, you can look this up. It's on YouTube. Mario shot the puck in. It was an afternoon game. I think it was a Sunday afternoon game in Chicago. Mario shot the puck in and hit Rick right in the face. Broke his jaw. He never missed a beat. He played the whole time. Then we had to sit him out because his face was crooked. I'm not kidding you. We had to sit the poor guy out, and he was really angry that we were sitting him out. We're like, "Dude, you got a broken face."
Yeah, your face is falling off.
Kevin was just so tough. Kevin Stevens was, my God, like Jimmy. I don't want to bore people with Pittsburgh Penguin folklore stories, but I don't think Kevin ever missed a practice.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, he played hard every night, savagely hard.
Yeah.
I know one thing: all the practice I ran there, Kevin never missed one that I could think of.
That's great. That must be so great for a coach too there when you have a player that practices.
He set the tone. Kevin set the tone because he was big and he could really skate. So all the guys would be embarrassed if they didn't keep up.
Like, I got to live up to that.
Yeah, I got to stay up with this guy,
Yep. Jeez. All right, next question. Chris L. Question for Pierre. Is there any value and or room in the Habs bringing in free agent Tanner Janot? Cheers. That's another good idea.
Tanner Janot would be a good addition. Here's the thing. He got too much money when he went to Tampa. And because of that money, people were, you know what, Jimmy? It reminds me of Marty LaPointe.
Yep.
They get too much money, and so the expectation is way too high for them. Tanner's, at this point in his career, Tanner's a really good number 4 winger who can stabilize a game physically. He's not afraid of anybody. He can give you a little supplemental depth offense, Jimmy, but it depends on what the price point would be. But I think he could help them, but I wouldn't give him more than 2 years. If you got into a bidding war with somebody, I wouldn't go more than 2 years.
He's coming out of a 2-year deal that gave him $2.67 a year.
What was the one before that?
The one before that was, let's see. Where is it? Wait a minute. Sorry, Pierre.
Oh, no, it's okay.
The one before that. That was just so he was an RFA before that period. He was only making $800 a year, and then he got this deal. So
then that was the one. That's the one that
jumped, but it wasn't too bad.
No, but that's the one that I know got him traded, got him moved around.
Yeah,
because there was no production there, and I know the price point on the one trade, Tampa gave up a lot.
Yeah, they did. I remember that.
They gave up a lot. So that's what
got criticized for that.
Yeah, and then he gets moved out to LA, and they didn't get nearly the market value. So that's why I said 2 years max. And it has to be. It can't be a $2.5 million.
No,
sorry,
it can be lower.
I mean, that's where it's at.
Yeah. All right, next question. Juice _031017. Will the Montreal Canadiens use both first-round draft picks? If so, who would be a good draft pick for the Habs at 16 and 17 overall?
Too early to tell. I can't even go there right now.
That's a mishmash. Once you get to that point, I don't think they use both picks to draft. I think
one of those picks, maybe both could be traded.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they will, but I think they could. One could for sure. Maybe two.
Yep. All right. Next question. Owen Tremblay. Question for Pierre. Do you think Lane Hudson will be a top 5 defenseman in the league in 3 years' time?
Depends how you qualify it, Owen, but I would say yes. So if you're talking about points, yes. If you're talking about time on ice, yes. If you're talking about plus minus, maybe not. If you're talking about defensive consistency, Probably not. But if you just talk about points and time on ice, the answer is yes, 100% yes.
Sure. If they actually do what Pierre is suggested, and I think they should do as well, and make 2 awards for defensemen, he would get the current one, but I don't know if he'll get the other one for just strictly defensive yet.
Agreed.
Could get there. Next question. Joe, coach-wise, question, why not try Benoit Gruel?
He had a great year over in the KHL. He was a very good coach in the American Hockey League. He was an outstanding coach in Gatineau for years and years and years. And he was a heck of a player too. Benny was a really good player.
Yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't want to consider him.
Yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't. It's a great point.
Yeah. Why not?
He should be on radar. He should be on the radar for a bunch of teams. Benny was a really good coach. I enjoyed watching him work at World Juniors with Canada. He did a really good job. Really good.
All right. Next question. Juice _031017. Will Nick Suzuki ever be a 90 to 100 point player one day now that he's in the prime of his career?
I think so, because that line's going to be dynamic.
Yeah.
So think about Jimmy gets to see this guy all the time. Elias Lindholm. Sorry, Jimmy. So his best years were playing with the late Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk. And he put some numbers up.
Yep.
He did. He put numbers up. But he never played with those guys again. He's never been close to those numbers.
Decline every year.
But Suzuki with Caulfield and Slavkovsky, that line's going like this. It's going the opposite to what happened.
And there's so much chemistry there, man.
So I could say yes. I could see that happening. I keep saying this all the time about Nick, and I mean, like Joe Sakic, not going to take it personally. Nick Suzuki reminds me of Joe Sakic, except one shoots right, Nick, and the other one shot left, Joe. But he, reminds me that so much of Joe, so much.
I like him a lot. All right, next question. Hockey puck for Pierre. Headshots are a big problem. How about adding a layer of some kind of foam rubber? I'm not a chemist on the exterior of the helmet. Your thoughts?
Well, they've done it in football. Some of the guys do it in football. I think if you've had head trauma, you should probably think about it. I don't know if the league would approve it at this point. You'd have to prove why. I know, hey, look, they do it on skates to protect from broken feet and broken ankles for shot blocking. So why not think about the head? I think it's a great
bad idea.
I think it's actually a good idea. I'm not a chemist either, though.
Yep.
But I did play football at a real high level.
Yep.
And I can tell you right now, a lot, I'm older. A lot of my former teammates aren't doing as well as I am. So
I like the idea. I'm not a chemist.
I like the idea. I like the idea a lot. I'm all for that.
But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express, Pierre. So there you go.
You're a chemist now. UMass. No, you went to the Amherst. You didn't go to UMass.
Amherst. All right.
Yeah.
Next question. Dave Abbott, what separates teams that rally from 2-0 or 3-1 deficits from those that fall short? Any past teams stand out to you? Well, Pierre was part of a 3-1 deficit against Washington.
Yeah, he changed our whole system. And we had one player sell it to the players. But, we had to win a 5 and a 7 on the road, and we did. And we didn't just win them. Like, we won them.
Yeah.
We didn't just beat that team, Washington. We beat them up.
Pierre, you know how players always love to say we're living in the moment, we're doing this. And I know they try their best to, but it's obviously easier said than done.
Yep.
I take it in that situation, it's never more important.
No, never more important. You're so spot on. Mario took charge. Ronnie really helped Francis. Olfie and Gordy Roberts and Larry Murphy, the 3 big guys in defense, really bought in. Bobby Airy, what we did was pretty significant. We played Bobby on the left side against Dino Cicerelli, who was a right winger, and Dino was on top of it then. Dino was a heck of a scorer, Jimmy. And Scotty always ran the forwards. I ran the D. And whenever Cicerelli was on the ice, I would always put Gordy Roberts on the ice because he and Dino played together in Minnesota. Right. And Bobby, Scotty would make sure Bobby was on. And we really drove Dino nuts like our team did. But he was such an important player for him. We had to do something. So that was one of those subtle in-series adjustments we did. And it worked really well. But Dino was so good, man, back then. Like, people don't talk about Washington Capitals were so good. Like Pavanka was really good. Bondra was really good. Miller was Kelly.
Pierre.
What's that?
Who was the goalie then for the Caps?
Donnie Beaupre.
Beaupre, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah.
Donnie was really good. Donnie was on top of it. Donnie was really good. You know, they had like so many good players. Kelly Miller, Mike Ridley, like their team was loaded, man.
Yeah.
They had Langway on defense. Like you go, Callie, listen to this defense. Callie Johansson, Ally Afraidy, Kevin Hatcher, Sylvain Cote, and Rod Langway. That was their defense.
Wow.
Like here we are, like 34 years later, whatever it is. I don't even know what to tell you. That's how much of an impact they made on my brain.
Yeah.
They were so good. But we had to do subtle things to beat them. To your point, how do you come from behind 3-1? That's how you do it.
Yep.
You just got to out brain power the other team.
There you go. All right, next question. Excuse me, Randy Workman. What about Luke Richardson for the Bruins?
Good name to throw out there because of the defensive part of it. Coached in Montreal, ran Ottawa's farm team, coached in Chicago with a building team. They'll do, if they do consider Luke, I'm sure they'll do a major evaluation what went right and what went wrong in Chicago. Because it'll be a similar type situation he's coming into in Boston.
All right, next question. Frank O, with the cap floor being at $70 million next year, San Jose is expected to be way under. How do you think they get to the floor?
Take on some old contracts.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or try to sign free agents.
They'll probably do both. They'll take on some contracts to some of those guys that are, and maybe some guys that are never going to play again. That are just.
Well, that's what you do. You take on those old like Carey Price's contract.
Price. There you go. All right, next question.
That's kind of how you have to do it. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
One of the things I can't stand.
Yeah, I don't like that about the game either. The Shea Weber thing was the same. All right, next question. Dave Abbott, how should contending or rising teams best manage their window to win before the cap or roster changes close it? Good question there, Dave.
I think be aggressive. When you realize the window's open, be aggressive, whether it's at the draft, whether it's at free agency time, whether it's a trade deadline, be aggressive, but be highly calculated when you're being
always
aggressive.
be taking a step down the road.
You got to always be highly calculated. So I think that's how you do it. Jimmy, one of the things that I love about doing this with you, like every day, I'm trying to look for different things that I could do if I were involved with a team, because you always want to have a different take on, like, why is that team not doing something right? What's wrong with them? How come those guys are doing a bunch of stuff right? And that's how I do in the morning. Like I'm tinkering with lineups. I'm evaluating caps. I know but I'm just trying to share with the people. Yeah. And so you learn different things about the players and you learn different things about the people making the decisions. Some guys are really afraid to make decisions. If you do that kind of an exercise, you're like, whoa, I had no idea.
Like you say, don't fall in love with your players.
Don't ever fall in love with your players.
Nope.
They're like racehorses and ex-wives. All they do is cost you money.
All right, next question.
I learned that from Scotty, by the way.
I know. FF. Hello, guys. Can you see the day where Crosby will try to bring a team to Halifax?
No, I do not.
They just don't have the infrastructure.
I would love to have
awesome,
major hockey in Halifax. One of my favorite places to go, the Five Fishermen. What a great restaurant. It is an awesome place. I spent so much time there. The Midtown Tavern in Halifax is off the charts. It's off the charts. The memorabilia on the wall from the old Halifax or Nova Scotia Voyageurs is amazing. It's it's like a who's who of great Montreal Canadiens over time. It's the best hamburgers. It's so many good trips down. I love Halifax.
I got to get up there. Never been. On the bucket.
I love Halifax. Love it. Right. Love everything about it.
We might have to podcast.
There's a couple pubs down by the water, Jimmy. The beer's really cold and the oysters and lobsters really good too.
And there's a lot of good Irish music there, I heard too.
You do. They're in Newfoundland, George Street, Newfoundland.
Oh yeah.
Your buddy Terry Ryan's probably owns half of the places on George Street. Terry, we love you, man. We miss you a lot too.
Yep. Hope you're doing well, Terry. Next question. Dave Abbott, who drives a team style, the GM, coach, or the roster? Can you share a time this worked well and when it didn't?
What's that mean? Just so I understand, Dave.
I guess
the style meaning clothes.
Yeah, like the roster. Who do they take the personality of? The GM, the coach, or the players themselves? Like,
it's usually the players. Like like Ottawa's trying to be like Brady Kachuk. Ottawa's trying to be, Toronto Berube, but I think in Ottawa, Travis Green's a friend of mine. Ben Sexton's a really good friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
I think in Ottawa, they're taking the persona of Brady. I think that's what they're trying to do.
I'd agree.
Style of play. Okay, thanks, Dave. Style of play. That comes from the coach. Style of play comes from the coach.
All right, next question. Randy Workman, Pierre and Jimmy, Brady Martin is getting a whole lot of love. Would the Bruins consider drafting him?
I don't know the answer to that. Jimmy might know that better than me.
I don't, but I'll look into it.
The answer. I wish I could. I don't know the answer.
Now. All right, next question. Zahal, what can we expect the Sabres to genuinely take a step in their when can we expect the Sabres to genuinely take a step in their crazy rebuild? Is Devon Levy in NHL full-time next season?
Devon Levi is an NHL goalie, and he's got a big showdown coming next week that starts with Laval. It's going to be a showdown with him and Fowler. That's going to be something else to watch.
That's an interesting thing I haven't thought about. We'll revisit another time, but their goaltending situation. Like, if he comes in and he
Luukkonen?
Yeah, because he wasn't too bad.
I mean, he's good. I just worry about his injuries. He's got a big track record of injuries. But Devon Levi's an NHL goalie.
He's there. He's the goalie of the future for sure.
Yeah, they stole him, by the way. They don't get any credit for that. Yeah. He was a Florida Panther guy. He's drafted by Florida.
Right.
And he was in the Reinhardt deal.
Yeah.
They don't get any credit for that one, Buffalo.
Good one.
Yeah, everybody rips him for trading Reinhardt, which they kind of should. But Reinhardt didn't want to stay there anymore. It's like Jack Eichel didn't want to stay there anymore.
Yeah.
You really think Buffalo wanted to trade Jack Eichel? No, they didn't want to trade Jack Eichel. They had no choice. Jack Eichel didn't want to stay there.
No. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But they're going to be a very interesting team, I think, in the offseason.
Buffalo?
Yeah.
They better be.
They have to be. All right, next question. FFFF, serious question. How many TVs do you have so that you're able to watch all these games in one night?
It's computers and TVs.
It's computers, FFF. I've got about 3 laptops on a desk and then
computers and TVs. You can make it work. It's all right.
So, and by the way, speaking of one of them, has our good friend Greg Cronin on NHL Now, on NHL Network right now with Brian Boyle, Mike Rupp, and Catherine Tappan. Good for him. All right, next question. Ron LaRoque, when can college recruiters talk to junior players? Is there an age restriction, and do they have to ask for the club's permission? That's a good question.
I don't know about that. Well, I don't think they have to ask for the club's permission. I don't think they do.
Okay.
I mean, we never had that when I was involved.
Right. I wonder if it gets to that point, though. Like, are they going to start to call that poaching? Or
I don't know. It's a fair question. It's a very fair question.
It's a whole new world. We'll see.
A whole new world. You know what? I'm going to talk to Coach Carvel about that.
Yeah.
What the rules of the road are. I will find that out. It's a good question by Ron. I can tell you all the players I recruited out of respect, even when I was in the NHL, by the way, if we drafted a player and I was going in there to talk to the player, I always called the junior coach or I always called the college coach and say, look, I'm coming in to see Jake Sanderson. I'm coming in to see Tyler Clevin. I call, and say, I'm going to take him to dinner. This is the time. Just want you to know I'm coming there. Nothing nefarious is going on.
Right.
And so the coaches would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Like Brad Berry was a coach in Dakota. I'd call him a lot, talk to him a lot. He always appreciated that. He was always a gentleman.
That's the way to do it. Well, you were being a gentleman too, Pierre. So, all right. Next question.
I think that's an important way to do the business.
It builds relationships too.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Zahal, thoughts on Jeff Skinner playing over 1,000 NHL games just to play one game this playoff and a scratch the rest of the way so far?
When anybody's played one game in the NHL has done something unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's played 1,000 games. Played 1,000 games. Like, how many did Ole Jokinen play before his first playoff game? I think Ole was over 1,000. I think it could be wrong, but I think it was close. I'll tell you what, he's turned. How many games do you have to see if you can find that out?
Okay.
Ole Jokinen, how many games did he play before his first playoff game? It's a pretty significant number.
Let's see.
Ole's turned into a really good coach, by the way. He's coaching over in Europe. He's turned into a really good coach.
When was the first year, his first playoff season? Do you know, Pierre? Was it?
Oh, it would have been late.
Started with the Kings.
Yeah, it would have been late. Ollie's first.
Wait a minute. Maybe one of our listeners can get it too and beat me to it. Because I'm a slowpoke. All right. Playoff history. Because it might have been early, actually, Pierre.
It's a long time. I'm just telling you.
Let's see. Wait a minute. I got him right here. You're right. You're 100% right, and it was only once.
How many games, regular season NHL games did he play?
So he finished with
Played a lot of games.
1,231 games. I don't know where he was at when he finally made it in 2008-09 with the Flames. He played 6 games that season, and that's it. That's all he played. Over 1,231 games, he played 6 playoff games.
I think he might be number 1 in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
For the most games played without the playoffs.
Because I thought he would have been on that. I guess he wasn't. He didn't make. He didn't get in 1998. He was with the Kings, and they made it to the first round, but he didn't get in.
No,
so.
But he was. So I saw Olie. What's that?
Dave just gave us some more coffee money.
Oh, Dave's nice. Dave, you're too much.
It's going to become public house money. That's what that's going to be coming. Dave's going to join.
Dave's nice. So Jimmy, I saw Olie play when he was 16 or 17
in Finland.
I saw him because I was going to go coach IFK Helsinki. Jarmo Kekalainen was a general manager. And I went over there for probably 7 days, 8 days. And I went to games with Jarmo and looked at a lot of the better Finnish young players.
Right.
And I will tell you this, at that age, he looked so much like Jaromir Jagr. It was scary.
Yeah.
I had seen Jagr so much. And he was like, I'm like, whoa, this guy could be Jagr.
Yeah.
But he obviously didn't turn out to be.
I always liked interviewing him. He was a great interview.
Well, he's a good guy. Like I'm telling you, he's turned into a really good, really successful coach. Really successful.
Yeah. All right, next question. Alex Ivanowski, who was the best X's and O's coach you had the privilege to watch during your time at NBC? Scotty doesn't count. Q, Babcock, Torts, Sully, Cooper, Julian, anyone else?
I'm going to say Babcock was the best X and O's guy.
Yeah, I figured you'd say that. Yep.
I think Babcock was. Babcock was a gold standard for interviews, I can tell you that. We talked a lot of X's and O's behind, both for international and NHL. He was really good tactically.
All right, next question. Use _031-017 with Brock Besser being a UFA, would the Minnesota Wild be the best fit? Bring the home.
They would be good, but what about Utah? I think Utah's going to spend a whack of money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
What about Montreal? No,
I don't think so.
No. Yeah,
I don't think so. His uncle works for Ottawa.
Ooh. There you go.
So I don't know if that would happen or not.
All right. Next question.
Yeah. There'll be no shortage of suitors on Brock.
For sure. A troubled mind wants to know, how will the NHL deal with the cap going up significantly when a real world recession is expected to be really bad? Your guess is we've been talking about this for a while. Yep.
For a long time on this show. We've been talking about this for a long time.
I'm just going on record again as saying I think it goes up, but I don't think the projections will be accurate in the end. I just don't. I don't see how. And I hope I'm wrong. I'm glad I defer
to the accounting people and the money people. Yep. And if it goes up,
this world.
But
there's lots of good things going on.
I don't see it, man.
Yep. I'm with him. All right. That's it. That's all we got. We want to appreciate everybody's questions out there. And we appreciate you listening, watching as always. Thanks to Shane and Sammy and Yellow working the boards in Montreal. And before we go, Pierre, we would be remiss if we didn't wish a happy Mother's Day to our wonderful mothers out there. So Carol Murphy.
Jimmy.
I am thinking of you, and happy Mother's Day. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow and on Mother's Day. And Pierre, I'm sure you wish a happy one to Sally as well.
I will, for sure. You know who did it the best? Doc Emmerich. We always had games on NBC. He did the most amazing Mother's Day salutations. The Doc was so good at it. I just sit there and like, ooh, he got me out of trouble that time. That was good. So Jimmy, I know everybody's talking about all these games that all these people are working. I get it. It's okay. It's part of your job. You're supposed to be working. At that point in the playoffs, so Mother's Day is about the halfway point of the playoffs. You know, Mother's Day, even though they're your mom, it's kind of not at the front of the radar when you're doing a game every night in a different city.
Yeah.
So Doc, that's what I'm saying. Doc was so good at that.
That's great.
It got all of us out of trouble.
Yeah. And you know, in Boston, what we think of on Mother's Day, and it's
Bobby Orr, baby. Come
Bobby
on.
Orr. Tomorrow is Bobby Orr Day, May 10th.
Bobby Orr Day.
Yeah.
That's on No, it's on Sunday.
Well, May 10th is tomorrow, Pierre. Though.
Oh,
So
May 10th. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I got it. But
So that was the actual
yeah. I got you.
Yeah. And out of respect for my mom, I won't tell the story about that. She knows what I mean. All right.
All right. Hey, thank
I'll
you.
later. Hey, great stuff, guys. We appreciate it. And great questions today. And thanks to all our guests from this
How
week.
about the guests from this week?
Unreal.
Starting with Derek Damon.
Yes.
And then go forward. Like,
Scotty Bowman.
Yeah.
Mark Chipman.
Yeah.
Chris Botta. I
Botta.
mean, geez, it was good. It was good stuff. And
The
we
Bowman
might
guy
have
was all right. He was
excellent
okay.
too.
The Bowman guy was okay.
Yep. I got a little text from somebody here, might be able to join us next week, Pierre. So I'll tell you off the air.
Good.
All right.
Thank
Have
you.
a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe. Enjoy the hockey. We'll talk to you Monday on the Eye Test on the Sick Podcast Network.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.